All right, Shalom. Before I continue with this lesson, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father and His Son, whose real name or true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, right? Yahweh means He to be, He exists. Bahashem means in the name, right, of His only begotten Son, who the world calls Jesus, and many other names or titles, His real name is Yahweh Shai. So Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, So that's how you say it. So anyway, Salaki. So I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother lawyer, and I teach the Great Millstone National Camp. Come back with a quick lesson. And that's sometimes what happens when you go outside, how you usually open up. But because there's a lot, that I got to say through the Spirit. So, I don't know. Well, us in the know, we heard about Deacon Hakkad, what's the other nigga name? Hassad, and basically, they're going to step down from teaching, from what happened this past weekend. They're going to step down, right? But that's not what this is about. This lesson, where my water at? Give me 1 second. All right, so this lesson, I'm trying to knock it over, is really about, these guys, they're going to wax worse and worse as, the end times carry on. These guys, meaning, your preacher, your so-called teachers, these people you look at on YouTube or, whether you're involved in the camp with, they're going to wax worse and worse. And the thing is, you have been warned. And I'm not going to do all that in this video. You've been warned, getting on y'all. Well, the thing is, you're being led to the slaughter. You're like sheep led to the slaughter. And that's just your lot. All you niggas know that these niggas are wicked. But you're going to show favor unto them because really y'all the same. Y'all just as wicked as them. And not say that we are perfect. We going to fuck up, but not like this. We might fuck up by eating something. You don't know what got pork in it. Because let's be honest, you don't know what your food is today. It says one thing on the ingredients and you go by that and you eat with faith. But let's be honest, a lot of shit is mixed with pork and other shit that you don't even know about, and you going off. So we need that mercy. And hell, you can be going off without knowing. Looking at a girl, you don't know what she got to do. She look good, blah 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 blah. You drive down the street, boom. The day continues. But what she was married, But anyway, let's go right into it. All right, we're gonna hit the scriptures and keep it moving. So second, and really is not prepared. Usually I have something prepared. It's not prepared. It's kind of like freestyling. So this is from Elder Manatasai page. He put this up like 10 hours. Yeah, 10 hours ago. And let's read the title real quick. It says the Genesis scandal and Hebrew Israelite selective outrage. And so go watch that Elder's channel. That video dealing with that. Like I said, this is not what this lesson is about. It's just that these guys keep waxing worse and worse. So anyway, 2 Timothy 3, let's start at 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And so let's back up. It says, and seducers, and these guys are coming as seductive type of spirit that have you come into the truth and basically follow them. And then what happens, you start liking how these guys speak, hell, you might not have been washed with the word fully, and you still got some of your old ways attached to you, like being a gangster or something, not even just like being a gangster, but, you part of their lifestyle, because a lot of these guys, they were still bringing worldly shit into the truth. They was bringing their old life into the truth, half hood, half holy, that type of shit. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, it says But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And these guys, have been deceiving our people for the longest, and they're deceived. All of a sudden, Genesis was changing up the doctrine. The heathen can be saved and so on and so forth. They're being deceived. They made a deal with Satan. What's it? It says they made a covenant with death, like how it says in I think Isaiah 28. They made a covenant with death. And so let's keep reading. It says, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured, knowing of whom thou hast learned. And so you're supposed to continue in the true doctrine. You know what I'm saying? The names, the true names. Don't go back to saying Jesus and Yeshua. Those names ain't the truth. And it's gonna matter in the times that we coming into, that you call upon the correct names. The God of heaven, you know what I'm saying? He's a God that ain't seen, but he's about to show himself really soon. And when he begins to show himself via the signs, you know what I'm saying, the judgment that's about to be executed on earth, you're going to want to call upon them names and be close to him, because that's when he really listening. The Lord's always listening, but especially in the times to come, oh yeah, he really going to be listening. And he's listening for the elect to call upon him. And because the Lord had told that woman at the well, the true worshipers shall come. You know what I'm saying? He basically telling her, hey, and that's a good example. Let me get that. Give me 1 second. Let me get it. All right, so this is John 4. I'm trying to get a good context. Damn, it's a lot. All right, so because really, damn, I try to make it brief. I try to make it quick. All right. Yeah, because the lesson will end up going off into something else. So yeah, let me read this first. So this the woman at the well, right? And so there's basically not an ordeal, but there's a conversation. The Lord had told this woman to fetch him some water. Man, I gotta read. I'm sorry, Sly. I gotta read this. John 4, starting in verse 1. When therefore the Lord knew how the Salaki, let me go on down. 6, verse 6, John 4 and 6. Now Jacob's well was there. Yahushua therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Now, this woman of Samaria, she was not an Israelite. Heathen were put in that land during 2 Kings 17, right after the northern kingdom had went into captivity. So this woman, she ain't the Israelite, all right? There cometh the woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua said unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, it's going to turn to a different lesson. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou being a Jew askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? Because why she said that? There was a split between the northern kingdom and southern kingdom. All right. They didn't have no dealings with each other. For the Jews have no, it says it, for the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Yahushua answered, said to her, if thou knewest the gift of God and who it is that said to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Living water represents his truth. You know what I'm saying? And he was indicating to her like, hey, I'm the Lord. Which the elect at that time, they seen the Lord. They know him. Even to this day, they know him. They're not going to wax worse and worse. They're going to believe in the doctrine, continue in that which they have learned and grow. And really, before I even thought about getting, what I started with 2 Timothy, 3, I was going to start, it was going to be a milk, lesson. Going into how babes grow by the milk. Like, for instance, we were once babes. Like the basic scriptures that I quoted, not eating pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, not committing adultery. The basic commandments you start to learn after you keep practicing them. You know by heart. And when well, not just that, but also too, the easy sayings of the scriptures, basically certain precepts, the basics, going back into Genesis and Exodus, Numbers, Numbers 118, you're known by the seed of your father. That's that type of stuff. The name of the Lord, the judgment of the Lord, but it's even levels to that. Everybody can't go right to Revelation. It's a process. The Lord gave you a gift. And really the gift too that he was talking about was the belief in that, he was the Messiah. She couldn't see that though. Plus she's a heathen. Oh, slide the bubble back. So anyway, it says, verse 11, the woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. So, it's water. There at the well is literally water, but he's not talking about that. John 7, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. When we teach, that's the living water. It's hydrating you. You're drowning. I'm not drowning. Well, yeah, we drowning you with this truth, but it's a good spiritual drowning. The baptism. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. This is Ephesians 5. I ain't even got it yet. I'm just quoting it. Let's see. Yep, Ephesians 5. And what, 15? No. That's talking about being circumspect. Where is it at? By the washing of water. By the what? Damn, where is it at? It's in here. I'm probably just skipping over. I read. I know on my lessons I go pretty slow, but I actually do, read pretty fast. The evil. Or was it 25? 20? Let's see. Damn, I'm at. There you go. 26. Ephesians 5:26. It says, and really, I'm going to read the verse above just to get the context. Basically, it says, husbands, Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Right? So you being baptized, that, you being washed, with the water, basically with the word, by water, by the word, you're given life. You become a new creature. You're supposed to, and that's a hard thing. It ain't something overnight. It's over time, So, yeah, let's keep going. It says, art thou greater than our father Jacob, verse 12, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle. Yahweh shall answer, say unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. Like, this regular water that's in the in this well, fetch it, not fetch it, but you gather it up in a basket or a bucket. Drink today, tomorrow you're gonna be thirsty again. You drink for 1 hour, water, whatever, you thirsty again, But he was talking about, this truth, that water. It says, verse 14, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And like what I was talking about in John 7, that this precept connects to, is basically you teaching. And these guys, they don't have that living water. They got that what's it called? What is it called? Deaf water. They got that deaf water. That shit they sell in stores, the deaf water. I ain't drinking that shit. I don't give a fuck how good it tastes. But anyway, yeah, that's what they giving you. And, it says that him that wanted out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And that's where they're going to remain. And that's why they keep waxing worse and worse, because they're in that dead state. They haven't been washed by this water. Anyway, yeah, let's keep reading this. It says, The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua said unto her, Go and call thy husband and come hither. Why? Because her husband was an Israelite. She wasn't. She can't drink of that water. Even if I can't even say that. Well, when I say this, because, most Israelites heard this truth, they just don't believe it. But they know, what the truth is. So anyway, she say if she did know a few precepts, believed in what the Lord was saying, that don't really mean that she a Jake though. A lot of heathen know that we the Israelites. They hear that Babylon's gonna be destroyed. They, and if they see certain signs, they'll believe it. But that don't mean that they Jake. What makes you actually known as an Israelite is if you believe in His word. 2/3, or 1/3, but you want to be at the 1/3. You hear this word, you believe, you start following it. You know what I'm saying? You start following the laws, statutes, commandments. Like, yeah, you certified, the Israelite. You just don't want to be a 2/3. You want to be of the elect. Anyway, I don't want to make this too long. It says, and this this lesson went a whole nother way, because really it was, I'm still getting on them, but now I'm just talking about you being basically washed by this truth. They haven't, but you've been washed, with this truth. You've been baptized, reborn again. They haven't, they can't, Anyway, it says, the woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. Watch this, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. And that sayest thou truly. The woman said to him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. And plus, if she was really an Israelite, she would have, in the land, she would have knew about a Savior coming for the nation of Israel. She didn't know that. But the Canaanite woman that wanted her daughter here, she knew that. You see, that was an Israelite. It says, Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is a place where men ought to worship. Yahushua said to her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father, because they're going to be taking out the land soon. He was speaking about that at that time, but soon is going to be the time that Israel's cleansed during this World War III. When the mark of the beast is issued out, which is the chip, you make a decision on taking that or not. Yeah, the real Israelites going to come, starting with the elect of the nation of Israel, New Jerusalem. Like how the scriptures say, that's going to be the takeover. That's why the Lord said that. It says, ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. You see? Like, man, you don't even know what you're a part of. You don't know what you worship. This ain't for you. You're not a Samaritan. It says, the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. And only the elect is going to do that. These other guys ain't going to do that. They can't do that. Alazar, Deacon Hakah, Hassad, with that Arab name. Hassad. It's stupid. Dude, these guys they can't do nothing for you. But you're going to be led to the slaughter. That's what's happening. And you know what? This might be entitled, You're Being Led to the Slaughter. You know what? And with that, Lord, this is an edifying lesson. Like I said, the Spirit took the lesson a whole nother way, but it's all good. Lord, is edifying, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Rakakudash, Shalom.